on, everybody? Today I am going to be bringing you a buyer's guide of what to buy first for Star Wars Legion if you're on a budget. Because I think we kind of all are on a budget, at least in some way, shape, or form. And even if you're not, it's still nice to know what to buy first. So I'm just going to kind of break down everything that's out. It is currently November of 2018. There are new releases coming out for this all the time. So I'm only going to cover the stuff that comes out today and the stuff that's for the Empire. If you are a Rebel player, I am also doing a Rebel build, so you can check that out as well. But this is going to cover an Imperial players what to buy first for Star Wars Legion. I also want to remind you there is a huge holiday giveaway going on right now, and that is for a Super Star Destroyer in the form of a gift certificate for cool stuff. And all you have to do to enter that is become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Even if you don't want to play Armada and get a Super Star Destroyer, you can use the gift card for whatever you want, but that's the intent behind it. Anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and also, if you're new here, probably a good idea to subscribe anyway. I do a lot of Legion stuff, a lot of X-Wing, a lot of Armada, a lot of gaming, tabletop, board game stuff in general, as well as Star Wars stuff as well. So a lot of good stuff here for you if this is what you like and this is what you're into. If you like this video, feel free to do that. So you're starting out in Star Wars Legion, you want to play Empire, where do you go from here? So I'm going to break down everything, and I'm going to rank things kind of based on value and also fun factor, and to some extent the models themselves, the beauty of them, because I think this is a game that has a lot more going on to it than just competitiveness. I think this is a game that's great for fun. The fun factor of this game is very, very high. And if you are on a really tight budget, I've got to kind of preface all of this with saying you kind of need to prepare for the extra costs that are going to come with Star Wars Legion. First off, terrain, painting supplies, brushes, primer, all kinds of things like that are the things that go into this because everything comes unpainted. Now, you don't have to paint stuff. You're going to at least want to get some glue. I would definitely suggest, I like the Loctite gel control glue. It has these little buttons on the side. You squeeze and only a little bit comes out and never jams. I've had very, very good success with that. Gorilla Glue is also pretty good. But you're going to want to get some glue because your models don't come on the bases like they do in Imperial Assault. So you're definitely going to want that. Painting is optional, but this is a great game to paint, and a lot of the community does paint, but not everybody. I'd say probably somewhere around 75% of the players paint their stuff. So it's a great opportunity to do it, even if you don't want to do crazy stuff. So there are a lot of extra costs. Terrain also, you don't have to use fancy terrain. You can even use just books and household supplies, but you're going to want some terrain as well. So at least have a plan, have that in the back of your mind. On to things to buy. So the first thing, this one's going to be a no-brainer. All right, first thing is going to be a core set. You're going to need a core set to play the game. It's got everything you need. It's got the rules. It's got the quick start guide. It's got Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. It's got 2 Stormtroopers, 2 Rebel Troopers. It's also got the speeder bikes and then the AT-RT. So it's basically, a starter set has stuff for both factions. Now, a starter set is $100 MSRP. So it's not cheap, but I've got to tell you, you're getting a ton of value in this core set. And a lot more units and a lot more different units than you get in a lot of other core sets. And I think that is worth pointing out because this is actually a game that has tremendous value. One of the things that's really, really great is you can play a full 800-point game because normal games, like sanctioned official tournament quality games, are 800 points. However, and that's what the game is balanced off of. It's balanced off of an 800-point game, and it's designed to be played at an 800-point game. So you can always change that, no problem. But if you want to play in a sanctioned event, or if you show up to a local play event, it's probably going to be people running 800 points. There's not enough stuff in the core set to get you to 800 points. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about too, like what can get you to a full list. That definitely ranks high in priority. What you can do, and I suggest this, if you're only interested in playing the Empire, it's harder to do now that the game's been out a while, but find somebody else who has a core set and only wants to play Rebels. If they give you all of their Rebel stuff and you give them all of your Imperial stuff, you just split everything right down the middle, you will actually have enough stuff to field an 800-point list. You won't have a lot of flexibility there, but 2 core sets worth of stuff, completely maxing upgrades on everybody, can get you to 800 points. That's important to know because that's actually a tremendous value. You can get playing with the cost of just the core set if you're able to trade with somebody. If not, it's still a good idea to get a second core set for a number of reasons. First off, like I talked about the value. You're considering all the units that you're getting, you're saving about half the cost of if you were to buy all the individual expansions on their own. Additionally, you are going to get an extra Vader and Luke, which you kind of don't need, but if you are going to paint, you can practice on those or just do some fun stuff with them. I had a Vader, I painted all kind of silly colors for April Fool's Day, and it was great because I had it to throw away. You're also going to get barricades, which are useful for terrain, extra dice, which are kind of mandatory because you're very, very quickly going to realize in this game that the core set does not give you enough dice. And if you don't want to have to go and buy an extra dice pack, also the maneuver tools are good, the range tools, all the extra stuff you're going to get in a core set is nice, but you can get it elsewhere. But the best value is just for all the units, the extra core and the extra speeder bikes. That's going to be a great thing to get. However, it's better if you can trade with somebody else. That being said, a second core set is not a bad idea. You're getting so much extra stuff regardless. I certainly did that. I actually got 3 core sets. 3 core sets will totally max you out and give you a lot of flexibility because you can run up to 6 units of Stormtroopers, and there's 2 in every core set. You can run up to 3 speeder bikes, which is a support unit, and there's 1 of those in the core set. Well, technically there's 2 of them, but it's 1 unit. You can run 3 units of them. And so if you have 3 core sets, you can actually run all of that stuff. You can only run 1 Darth Vader, but you have to have a commander. So start with at least 1 core set, but I would recommend trying to trade for the Imperial components from a second core set. If not, it's not a bad idea to pick up a second core set. But maybe you don't, or maybe you just want to look past the core set contents. What else? What other expansions should you get? Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend the Scout Trooper expansion. The Scout Trooper expansion is a very, very, very good next buy for a couple of reasons. First off, they're awesome. They can do a whole bunch of different things. This unit can be run multiple different ways, and it has, I think, more flexibility of the unit than just about any other unit in the game on the ways that you can build it and set it up. This is also the first Special Forces unit in the game for the Empire, and out of what's out right now, they're awesome. It's a way for you to get Special Forces, a way for you to get a whole different unit type. They behave differently. They're really deadly. They're a little on the expensive side depending on how you gear them out. But what really makes this unit a tremendous advantage as far as the player who's on a budget is that you get actually 2 units in this one expansion. Now, it's not a super cheap expansion. It's about a $25 expansion. So, there are commander expansions that are only like $12, $13. But this gives you 2 potential units. And they're not like single miniature units. You're actually getting a lot of plastic for your buck. And the fact that you can run 2 at the same time, basically you can run a strike team with either a sniper or a charge, a saboteur, or a demo charge guy. And then you can also run the full unit with the other heavy weapons guy. And so you can basically set up 2 of these for a single expansion. It's actually a really great value. Because not only are you getting 7 miniatures, you're also being able to run like 5 and 2 on the board at the same time. Whereas pretty much all the other Trooper expansions, you have to leave something off the board. You can't use all of it. So this is very efficient. You're getting the iconic Scout Troopers, so that's good to get. Because you've seen them already in the core set on the speeder bike, and you're like, I'd love to get these guys by themselves. Here you go. Also, I want to kind of throw out there, if there's something that you're really into, like if you really love a certain unit and it's not very high on my list of recommendations, then get whichever you want. The game should be fun first and foremost. But I'm just giving you my recommendations, and that's just one path to follow. It's not an absolute rule. You can get whatever you want. I could be totally wrong. People have a difference of opinion all the time. So if you disagree, that's totally fine. Next up, I'm going to suggest General Veers. General Veers is the second commander to come out for the Empire, and General Veers took this game by storm when he came out because he's cheap, and he's a great support commander. So, like, right now, and as of making this video, Palpatine is not out yet, so I'm only talking about what's out right now. I'll mention some of the stuff that's on the horizon at the end. But General Veers is much, much cheaper to run, and he gives you a lot more flexibility in your lists. So if you do have 2 core sets and Special Forces, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know, I can't fit all of this in because I'm exceeding 800 points. Well, now drop Vader, put Veers in, and now you have way more flexibility for the rest of your list. Or you can also run Vader and Veers. You can have up to 2 commanders in your list. And so now you have some flexibility. Maybe I can keep Veers in the, with the whole group, and then have Vader going off by himself to, kind of like sneaky Vader sneaking around in the darkness, cutting people off, and you can run a pincer kind of thing. But Veers is also very cheap, and that's one of the things. Like the Commander expansions, those single miniature expansions tend to be a lot cheaper. I think it's like a $12, $13 expansion. So very, very cheap, great value for what it adds to the game. However, it's only a single mini, so not a great value as far as the collectability, the plastic value. But you are getting a new commander, you're getting some new command cards. It's one thing that's great here is that you'll notice you're getting Princess Leia cards. You don't have to buy anything across faction with this game, and that's another thing that kind of makes this game great, is that you're not really forced to buy across the aisle. And a lot of people really appreciate that. I wish they would apply that to all of their games. I'm going to buy across the aisle anyway because I like to buy everything. I'm a completionist, and also I review it for you guys too. So that's another reason that if you're new here, hopefully you'll subscribe, because when new things come out, I'll be doing unboxings and reviews of them, and you can kind of get a look at them to see if maybe that helps you make up your mind. Next up, I'm going to recommend Boba Fett. Boba Fett is the first operative, and operatives are a new type of unit altogether as well. And Boba Fett is very, very, very cool. A very fun unit to play, and probably one of the best miniatures they've ever made. I absolutely love my Boba Fett. And while I don't think you need him to be competitive, because he is kind of expensive to run, especially if you're using Darth Vader as your commander, I think if you're going to run Boba Fett, you kind of need Veers as your commander. But again, there's a lot of different ways. Sometimes you just want to run stuff that's thematic. Maybe you want Vader and Boba Fett together, and that's awesome, and that could be a lot of fun. However, Boba Fett has some great abilities that are going to work. First off, as an operative, he's going to have command cards, so he can issue commands, but he can only issue them to himself, and they kind of take the form of special weaponry. So he might use his flamethrower, he might use his jetpack, or the rocket in his jetpack and stuff. So he can do all those through command cards. But he isn't a commander; he's an operative. So he's like a commander that only commands himself. So he can't issue actual orders to everybody else. So that's being said, he's fun. He can jump really far. He's got jump 2. So he's like and he's speed 3. He's the most maneuverable unit in the game. He has this awesome ability called Bounty 2, where you can try to hunt down your opponent's commander and take care of them. Very, very cool. Boba Fett is awesome. The miniature is awesome. The fun factor is awesome. It's just not as crucial for as many games. That's why it ranks a little bit in the middle of my list, because it's, I don't know just how competitive it is to have a really, really expensive unit there. He can be useful in a lot of games, but he's also kind of expensive. So I think there's other things that were probably a little more important, but he's definitely going to add to some of your tactics and also some of your fun factor and the beautiful sculpt. Next up, the ATST. Now, the ATST, I think this is probably one of the best models I've ever seen. Absolutely gorgeous. They did such a great job with the ATST. Now, this one ranks a little lower on my list for a couple of reasons, but I want to talk about the good things about this first. First off, the sculpt is amazing. Second off, it has extra pieces so you can outfit it however you want. Like, depending on the different types of weapons that you decide to outfit this thing with, you can actually put the weapons on the, you can have that mortar launcher on his head, and you can have the grenade launchers on his ears. You can physically put those on there, which is great. However, Legion isn't a what you see is what you get game, so you don't have to have it set up the exact way that you run it for this game and change it. But if you want to, it's totally cool. There are tutorials on there on how to cut open the back and put magnets on the inside if you want to magnetize it. You can totally do that as well. I'm not somebody who magnetizes their models. I sometimes magnetize the bases, but I don't magnetize the inside of the heads and stuff. Mostly because I just was reluctant to try that, but I'll probably try it one of these days. That being said, it's a gorgeous model. It's very, very tall. It's absolutely huge. Here, I'm gonna here is one of mine, and it's almost as big as my whole head. So, and the thing is, it can get taller than that. That's another thing that's really cool about this model, is that you can adjust its height. It's got a lot of moving parts, and you can glue them in if you want to, but you don't have to glue this one. I mean, you want to glue its feet. Like I said, you're going to need glue. But you got to at least glue its feet down, but it's got a lot of joints. It's got ankle joints, it's got knee joints, it's got like shoulder joints, and the head swivels too, and the head is on a ball, so you can actually have it like pointing literally any way you want. A lot of fun things. You can even put the knees, like they have their back like this, you can put the knees forward and just have it look completely weird. I did that by accident one time. It's very fun. So it's gorgeous model. It's the centerpiece. If you have this on display, like you might want to buy this just to have on your desk at work. Comes with 3 different weapon hardpoint upgrades that you can outfit this with, so you can run it in multiple different ways. You can have lots and lots and lots of fun with this. The fun factor is very, very high. So why is this so low on my list? 2 reasons. First off, it's expensive. It's a $50 miniature for just 1 unit. So it's expensive. If you're on a budget, this isn't the first thing you need. But since it came out, it's launched with the core set. A lot of people bought this right away. And this is where I go back to saying, hey, if there's something that you really like and you want, that should take priority over my advice, I think, because the fun factor, I think, is more important than the competitive nature. If we're not having fun, what are we doing, right? So I rank fun a little bit more than competition, but some people, are different on that. So it is very expensive, but also vehicles in this game, competitive-wise, aren't, or the heavy vehicles, just aren't as good as I think a lot of people want them to be. This game, Legion, is primarily an infantry-based game, and all of the objectives and the ways to win a game of Legion tends to center around having a lot of infantry, having a lot more unit leaders, having a lot more dudes on the map, and a lot less tanks on the map, right? It's to break it down in the broadest sense of terms. So when typically, and I'm not saying you can't run this and win, but I think if you're looking at what's most competitive, this is slightly less competitive than I think we kind of would want it to be. Now that can change. That's only the way at the time that of me making this video. They may come out with new objectives that favor 200 plus point vehicles. Again, you're only running 800 points. This is a quarter of your list just by itself, and then you're going to probably make it even more than that, depending on how you upgrade it. So this can be very, very, very expensive. This can be like 30% of your list all by itself. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for other things, and it's not super competitive. Now, there's ways to still be competitive with this. Heck, you can run 2 of these. You have a cap of 2 heavies, and I have 2 of them, and I have run 2 of them before. I think more often than not, though, when you're running 2 of them, you're really just doing it for the fun factor, because it's very hard to win running 2 of these, unless your opponent also has a fun build and a less serious build. But yeah, I would not bring 2 of these to a tournament unless it was just a fun, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't suggest bringing 2 of these to a tournament, but I'm the type of guy who might do that just for kicks. I mean, it would be a fun time. And anyway, the fun factor on this one and the beauty is very, very high. The price and the competitive nature of this one is a little bit on the lower side. ATST. So, what else? What is next? Snowtroopers. Snowtroopers, awesome. I really like the Snowtroopers. I think they're a very, very, very good unit to get. So why do I rank them so low? Well, because if you've been playing the game already, you probably have already got you've already got maybe your 2 core sets you're able to trade. You don't really need any more core units because you've already got Stormtroopers. And Snowtroopers are another core unit, so they're an alternative to the Stormtroopers you already have. And while I think these guys are great and they fill a different role as far as tactics go, I just don't think they're as needed as the as at least getting your first couple of Stormtroopers. Now, if you didn't get another core set and you said, I'm only going to get 1 core set, then I would think in that case, you might want to elevate a box of Snowtroopers. If I was starting and I could only get 1 of everything, I would get 1 core set. My very next purchase would probably be Snowtroopers. That being said, or the reason for that is because you need 3 core in an 800 point game. And again, the core set only comes with 2 units of Stormtroopers. So this would give me my 3rd core unit. And also, Snowtroopers are coming with impact grenades, which is a nice little upgrade. You also get this in the Stormtrooper box, but it doesn't come in the core set. So it does have an upgrade that doesn't come in the core set, which is nice. That can help out some of your troopers. But I just think the Snowtroopers are great. They can shoot after they move. Even though they're only speed 1, the ability to get a free attack after moving, really, really cool. I like that. I like that quite a bit, as a matter of fact. and so it makes them very fun. But they're stronger at close range because they have a flamethrower in there, which is personally my favorite Snowtrooper upgrade to add is the flamethrower, and he's got to be like right in your face to get max damage. So you play them a little differently. To me, Snowtroopers are a little bit more close quarters, and then the Stormtroopers are a little bit more well-rounded and even long range. So that's kind of why I rank them where they are. They're great. They're absolutely great, but I just don't think it's as necessary as one of your first purchases. And next, the EWeb. So the EWeb I have this one a little lower for kind of the same reasons that I have the Snowtroopers a little lower. And the EWeb is a support, and you can only have 3 support. You're already getting a support in the core set. You've already got speeder bikes. Now the EWeb is a cheaper support option as far as point cost, which is nice, and they are pretty cool. But they're very, very slow, and I think they probably will have a little bit more of a learning curve in them to really, to perform well, because they're more about like holding down an area rather than traversing the battlefield. Whereas they're like almost the exact opposite of the speeder bike. So if you've got your core set, you're going to get used to the way speeder bikes play. These are going to be a very, very drastic change of pace. The EWebs are nice, but they have so many things that make them difficult to use. Like you can't move and shoot in the same turn. You can only move once. So if you have to move them, it's harder. And one of the things you're going to end up doing is doing standby an awful lot with EWebs, which I just feel lends itself to slightly more experienced players, and I think it'll work a little bit better after you've been playing the game for a while. Then these would be a nice addition to add, to your army. Because I definitely want to probably get at least one of everything eventually. I would definitely suggest getting at least one of everything. For one, just the models are awesome. They're great to paint too. Even if I know people who don't even play the game that still collect it just for the models because they're that cool. And so, I think that's a great thing to do. But the EWeb, I think speeder bikes are probably going to be more advantageous. Plus, if you're getting core sets which have a great value, you've already got supports. You probably don't need an alternative to support, at least as one of your first purchases. So I rank the EWeb a little low on that aspect. But then again, if you like EWebs and you like Snowtroopers, like I started making Hoth terrain when I first started getting into Legion, so I really wanted Hoth stuff. That was my thing. So for me, I would rank these higher because the minis are Snowtroopers, and so like that could be a thing that changes the ranking for your preference. Next up, there's 74Z Speeder Bike Expansion. So this one is very, very low on my list, even though I just wait, wasn't I just talking about how great these were? Well, there's a reason for that. It's because you get them in the core set. So you really and to buy the bike itself, like I did a price breakdown when the core set first came out, and you're spending double what it's versus what you would spend. Like if you bought just the expansions of everything that comes in the core set, you're spending double if you buy them in these boxes. So the value is actually very, very low for this. You are getting an upgrade that doesn't come in the core set, but it also comes in the ATST. So if you got the ATST, this isn't really giving you anything new. So what are you even getting here? You're getting another unit, but you probably, like if you really want to run 3 support and you're on a budget, I would say get 2 core sets and then get an EWeb before you get another speeder bike. That's what I would suggest. But the one thing you do get with this box that you don't get in the core set is you do get an alternate sculpt. You get an alternate sculpt on one of the bikers who is leaning forward a little bit more, and I don't think that's really worth it, but maybe for some of you it is. If you're into this more for the hobbyist aspect of it, then maybe that alternate sculpt of the secondary biker is worth it. Basically, in the core set, you have your leader that's just normally holding the bike, and then you have the secondary guy who is pointing back. He's shooting behind him. But this one, you have your leader, and then the alternate sculpt is the other guy who's like leaning forward into it. It's not really that big of a deal. I don't think it's worth it. I think your better value is just splitting a core set with somebody else. But if you really love speeder bikes and you just really want this, then go for it. Or if you really want the extra sculpt, then go for it. Last is the individual Stormtrooper expansions. There's no reason to get this unless you just love Stormtroopers. why do I say there's no reason to get this? Well, you do get a couple of things in here, right? You're going to get some upgrades that don't come in the core set. I believe grappling hooks and impact grenades. But you get those in the Snowtrooper expansion. So if you're going to buy core, get Snowtroopers instead of Stormtroopers. Because you've already got Stormtroopers in the core set. So, you know, and again, it also goes into what I was just saying about how buying expansions for what comes in the core set already, you're getting, it ends up being way more expensive. Obviously, I could see maybe getting this if you really like Stormtroopers and you just need one more and you don't want to buy the whole core set, even though it's a great value. If you just need one more and then you're totally done, then sure. Or if you just really love Stormtroopers and you really want a whole lot of them, maybe you're building a diorama and you're not even getting this for the game, you're just going to set up your Christmas village and just have a completely Imperial invasion, then sure. I mean, you know, it's a cheap way to get, you know, extra minis. And honestly, you're getting 7 minis for a $25 expansion. So it's not like terrible or anything. It's just that there's better value elsewhere. And, you know, there's really nothing in here that you have to have. You're getting the same sculpts that come in the core set as well, so you're not even getting an alternate sculpt. So that's why this one ranks at the bottom of my list. I actually did buy one of these and did an unboxing as well as for all of these Legion expansions. So I have all of those available. So if you wanted to get a closer look at like what they look up close and personal, I've done an unboxing and review for each one of these expansions as well. And that's everything. So this has been my what to buy first on a budget for Imperial players playing Star Wars Legion. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I do appreciate that, and as well as subscribe and click on the bell for alerts to join the notification squad so you won't miss out on when new videos are coming. I want to thank you guys so much. I also want to thank my patrons on Patreon. You guys help make all of this possible, and I do have some more giveaways to announce on Patreon pretty soon as well, so stay tuned for that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to enter the Superstar Destroyer giveaway as well, just by becoming a subscriber and leaving a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and have a great day.